Do you want to learn how to potty train your dog with no more accidents? Well, I'm going to show you 4 things you must do, 2 things you need to avoid, and several things that'll make your house training so much easier. And one hack I used with Gromit when I was house training him. I'm Glenn. This is Gromit. Let's get to homeschooling. House training a new puppy or an older dog follows the same principles, but there are some differences. First off, puppies pee and poop a lot, so they're going to require more work and time, and we'll cover that in this video. When I brought Gromit home at 8 weeks of age, it was important to me he not have accidents in the house. In this video, I'm going to show you the steps I used to house train Gromit successfully and give you the basics of what you need to do to successfully house train your new puppy or dog. The number one mistake when house training is allowing your young puppy or new dog to have an accident in the house. Every mistake is a major setback, and the more accidents you allow, the longer it's going to take to house train your young puppy or new dog. If you want your new puppy or dog to eliminate outside, I recommend you teach them to eliminate outside from the start to avoid any confusion. If you've already started house training by using pee pads or artificial turf or some other surface, and your intent is to teach them to eliminate outside, just follow the process in this video. There are circumstances where this isn't possible, so you'll just need to set up an appropriate indoor area for your dog to eliminate. We'll cover this in more detail later in the video. So how do you prevent accidents in the home? Let's start from the beginning. If you obtained your young puppy from somebody who properly started the house training process, they should be easy to house train because they've already learned to discriminate surfaces. This means from 3 weeks of age on, they were raised on 2 surfaces. 2/3 of the surface was used to sleep, play, eat, and rest, and 1/3 of the surface was used for elimination. And that surface should be different than what's found in your home. Pee pads are commonly used for puppies, but paper, artificial turf, or another type surface could have been used. The important point is a third of that surface needs to be a surface different than what's found in your home. If puppies were raised from 3 weeks on and only one type of floor surface, just consider they haven't started their house training. Anytime you bring a new puppy or an older dog home, take them to the spot you want them to eliminate before you bring them inside. Wait for them to at least pee, and if it's close to the time they would normally poop, wait for that to occur before you bring them inside. This will increase the odds the next time they need to eliminate, they'll want to go back to that spot. After the car ride to their new home or another location, it's almost a guarantee they'll need to eliminate. So take them to that spot without delay. If the area is secure and they can't wander off, you can let them explore and just wait for them to eliminate. If the area is not secure and contained, you can just attach a leash if they've already learned to accept a leash. If not, plan ahead and secure the area. Stay quiet and keep them in the designated area for 5 to 10 minutes if needed while you wait for them to eliminate. It's okay if they want to move around and explore because moving and sniffing will start the sequence for elimination. When they've eliminated the designated area, smile and verbally praise them immediately after they're finished. There's no need to use food treats. There's no need to reward with treats since the act of elimination is its own reward. I never use food treats when I house train Gromit. Also, avoid having a party as a reward. We don't want to encourage elimination as an attention-seeking behavior. Don't be in a hurry to take them inside once they've eliminated. They'll often move away and eliminate a second time within a minute or two, so give them the opportunity to empty their tanks before taking them inside. If it appears they don't need to eliminate, after 10 minutes, you can take them inside, but don't take your eyes off of them. This is rule number 1. If your puppy or dog is not eliminated, don't take your eyes off of them or let them move too far away. You need to be observing them at all times so they don't have the opportunity to eliminate in the wrong place. You need to be observing them closely so you can get to them immediately and take them to the elimination area if they're showing any signs they need to eliminate. This may include wandering off or moving away from you, lowering their nose to the floor, circling, or squatting. Rule number 2, if they've not eliminated and you can't supervise closely, confine them to a small area and take them back to the elimination spot in 20 minutes and repeat if necessary until they do eliminate. If you confine them to a pen, bathroom, or kitchen with a baby gate, you'll likely have mistakes since the area is large enough for them to eliminate at one end and move to the other end away from the mess. I prefer to use a really small pen for puppies or tethering them to a bed or attaching them to me with a leash. It's important for every dog to learn to accept a crate, but I'm not a fan of using crates except in limited circumstances. A crate should be large enough that a dog can turn around and lie down and stretch out completely without ever touching the sides. If they can't, the crate shouldn't be used. I didn't use a crate to house train Gromit. I either supervised him closely, attached him to me, or kept him in a small confined area. To increase the odds they don't have an accident while confined or tethered, feed them a foodstuffed toy or a small portion of their food in that place. Feeding your dog in that place can increase the odds your dog won't want to eliminate there. If your puppy or dog was confined to a small area and they eliminated there, don't make the mistake of making the area even smaller if it was already small to begin with. Instead, they just need to be supervised closely and taken out more frequently. If you tether your dog to yourself with a leash, don't let them get out of view or you won't see the signs of them needing to eliminate. Once they've eliminated, you can give them more freedom in the room you're in as long as you can still closely supervise. When you can't closely supervise them, you can confine them to a small area like a bathroom or a kitchen with a baby gate for short periods of time. Whenever I place a dog in confinement, my goal is that they're ready to rest. If your puppy or dog is not tired, they can view confinement like a prison, so don't abuse its use. But rather use confinement after their exercise, they've eliminated, and they're ready to rest. When Gromit was confined to a larger area, he was ready to rest and had already eliminated. Rule number 3, take them to the elimination area after every transition. Anytime your dog is transitioning from one activity to another, take them out to eliminate. So take them out first thing in the morning, after sleeping, after resting, after eating, after play, after training, after excitement, say a guest arrives, after being startled. If they stop playing, take them out. If they wander off, take them out. If they start to sniff the floor, take them out. Take them out after any transition. This is not a stroll to the elimination area, but rather a quick walk. If you saunter along, you may find your puppy has suddenly stopped along the way to piddle. Rule number 4. If you have a young puppy under 4 months of age, whenever they're awake, take them to the elimination area every 20 minutes so they have the opportunity to eliminate in the appropriate place. It's important to understand puppies younger than 12 to 14 weeks have limited control over their elimination, so they must be taken to the designated elimination area frequently. Healthy puppies need to pee frequently, and as a general rule, puppies can hold their urine for their age in months plus 1 hour, meaning an 8-week-old puppy 2 months of age can hold their urine for 3 hours on average if they've been resting with no activity. But if something startles or excites them during the rest, they'll likely need to pee. If they don't have the opportunity to eliminate in the appropriate place, they'll likely have an accident. At night, your puppy can often go longer than their age plus 1 rule, as long as you take them out just before bedtime and they have eliminated. But don't expect them to hold it all night until morning. If they start to move around or whimper, get up and take them to the designated area so they can relieve themselves. Then you both can go back to bed. I brought Gromit home at 8 weeks, and at night he slept in a pen next to the bed. The first night I took him out twice and he eliminated once. The second night I took him out twice and he eliminated. After about 2 weeks, he was sleeping about 8 hours through the night without having to get up. If your dog's over 4 months of age, you can probably take them out once an hour and be okay. Better to take them out even if they don't eliminate than to allow them to have an accident in the home. If you ever wonder, should you take your dog out? The answer is yes. Keep in mind, every dog is different in regards to how often they need to eliminate, but most dogs will have good control at about 6 months of age. Once your puppy or dog understands where to eliminate, they'll still need numerous opportunities to eliminate in the appropriate area. So don't undo what you work so hard to accomplish. What if your dog has an accident in the house? The second mistake that's far too common is attempting to punish or correct a dog that's eliminated in the home. If you didn't catch them in the act, they won't associate your response with them eliminating in the home. And since they won't understand the association, they'll just think you're unstable and out of control. This not only hurts your relationship, it affects your ability to teach and train your dog. This is why the book says we have to catch them in the act. That guilty look you think you see is just your dog reacting to your behavior. What to do? Step 1, get a roll-up newspaper or magazine. Step 2, identify the person responsible, you. Step 3, smack yourself for the paper, but not hard enough to do any damage. Since it's almost always the human's fault, don't scold your dog if they pee or poop in the house. If you didn't catch them in the act, you're way too late to try that anyways. And even if you did catch them in the act, don't scold them or you may be creating the problem you were hoping to prevent. Doing so may only cause them to seek out another place or room out of view to eliminate so as not to be punished. If you catch your dog in the act, make a startling noise like clapping or give an urgent verbal correction, but not their name, something like outside, but don't yell or show anger. The goal is to interrupt, not frighten them. Immediately after that, make sure you assume a neutral demeanor, not one of anger or frustration. You'll only confuse your dog if you act angry or frustrated at that point. If you overreact, you may cause them to start to eliminate in another room out of your view to avoid your reaction. If you're too harsh, they may avoid eliminating in your presence both inside and outside. Your goal is to interrupt the act so the bowel or bladder closes so you can immediately take them to the designated area to finish. Don't forget to immediately and sincerely praise your dog if they now eliminate in the correct place. If your dog has an accident in the home, make sure you completely clean the area so they're not attracted to the spot, or it will happen again. Clean the area with an enzymatic cleaner like you find at the pet store, or you can use laundry detergent that you wash your clothes in if it won't discolor or harm the surface. Don't use a cleaning product that has a fragrance or leaves a new scent. Otherwise, your dog may be attracted back to this spot because of the unfamiliar scent. Using your laundry detergent won't introduce a foreign scent to the area since your dog will already be familiar with any scent it has. After thoroughly cleaning the area, I recommend you use an odor eliminating product to completely eliminate any odors. Don't expect your puppy or your newly adopted dog to indicate to you they need to go outside. They may start to go to the door or come to you to let you know over time, but it's your responsibility to take them out frequently to ensure there's no accidents. When it's time for them to go outside, you need to go out with them to be sure that they've eliminated before coming back inside. If you just open the door or put them outside, they won't understand why. They may just sit at the door waiting for you or waiting to come back in. If by some fortunate turn of events they did run out to the designated area and eliminate, and then came back to the door to re-enter, and you enthusiastically praised them, the logical conclusion on their part would be that you were praising them for coming to the door, not eliminating in the designated area. If you just place your dog outside, a more likely scenario is that they'll just explore the yard, chase squirrels, or some other activity you had not intended. This is the reason why dog doors are not appropriate for house training. If you're not outside with your dog, you can't be sure they eliminated, nor train them to use a designated area if you're not there to direct them. What about teaching your dog to ring a bell or pushing a button at the door leading to the yard when they need to go outside to eliminate? This can be a viable option if the dog is confined to an area where the door is located. First though, you must be close enough that you can hear the bell so you can quickly get your dog outside to the designated area. Outside! I personally don't recommend or use bells or alerts. A common issue with using bells is that many people find their dog learns that ringing the bell gets you to come so they can go outside anytime they desire, whether they need to eliminate or not. Outside. Outside. One way to help avoid this is to only place the bell at the door about a half hour before the predictable time of elimination. How do we predict times of elimination? We use a feeding schedule. Establishing a feeding schedule means you're not leaving food out, but rather feeding one or more times a day depending on what's appropriate for your dog. Once your new puppy or dog is on a set feeding schedule, his or her elimination will also follow a schedule. So after a few days, you should see a pattern develop. Keep a detailed log of your feeding times and all your dog's activities and non-activities. The log should include when they slept, when fed, playtime, and for how long, in addition to noting when they eliminate. After a few days, if you've been consistent in your routine and been keeping a detailed log, you should have an observable pattern of elimination times. After establishing an observable pattern, you should be able to predict when they may need to go out to eliminate. How long it takes for food to move from end to end depends on what's being fed and the individual dog. As a rule of thumb, it takes about 12 to 14 hours for the stomach to empty and between 12 and 30 hours for food to transition through the intestines. If you can't closely supervise your dog or puppy an hour before the predictable time of elimination, confine your puppy or dog to a really small area in a place they won't want to soil. Take them out on the elimination schedule, or if you observe them sniffing the ground or circling. If they ring the bell, take them only to eliminate and use a leash if necessary. Stay quiet and keep them in the designated area, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Don't reward the bell ringing by turning this into a play session or time to explore. If your dog becomes an annoying bell ringer, just eliminate the bell and supervise. There's really no substitute for supervision. Setting up an inside elimination area. If you're house training a young puppy that must be confined for several hours without an opportunity to be taken out, set up the confinement area just the same as you would for 3-week-old puppies. The 2/3, 1/3 rule. If the dog is older or larger, don't have unreasonable expectations of expecting your dog to eliminate in a tiny area. Most dogs don't pee and poop in the same small square. What if your dog's already eliminated in the home several times? To start, it means you need to supervise your puppy or dog more closely so they don't have the opportunity to make mistakes. And then you'll need to be sure to completely remove all sense from the previous accidents or they're going to be attracted back to those spots. If you started their house training inside the home and you now want them to only eliminate outside, you can take a small section of a pee pad or whatever surface you were using to train them and place it outside in the area you want them to use. Using a paper towel, dab up a small amount of urine from a used pee pad and transfer that scent to the one you placed outside. outside. You can do the same with poop, but you only need a tiny amount of scent to attract them to that spot. If they developed an inappropriate preference for a particular type of surface like tile or a rug, get a small section of another rug or a single tile and place that in the area you want them to use and transfer the scent to that surface outside. How many times a day should a dog poop? As a general rule, dogs should poop about the same number of times a day they're fed, and maybe one additional time. Puppies and young dogs are often fed several times a day during the fast growth phase between 8 weeks and 6 months, so it's expected they'll need more opportunities to relieve themselves. If a dog is past the puppy stage and is pooping more than the number of feedings per day, it can be due to a poor quality of food that has a low digestibility or a high fiber diet, both of which can result in larger volumes, increased frequencies, and poor stools. Always consult your vet whenever you're having a difficult time house training your dog to rule out any medical issues. Can I put my dog's elimination on cue? Yes. Just choose a word for peeing and say the word a half second before your dog starts to pee. Your timing must be correct to teach this, so only use the cue a half second before the stream begins and then remain silent. If your timing's good and you're consistent, your dog will soon learn the new cue means to go pee. Choose another word and do the same to put pooping on cue. What was the hack I used to train Gromit? I used an old phone and set it up to monitor Gromit using FaceTime while he slept or was confined while I was in another part of the house. This way I could hear him when he woke up and I could get to him immediately and take him out to eliminate. You can use any camera you can monitor to do this. It's a great way to limit accidents. You should realize by this point, if you're going to house train a new puppy or an older dog, it's going to require somebody to be home. If you're not home to take your puppy out when they need to go, you're going to have an accident in the house. Both puppies and older dogs will require a regular routine, supervision, and management to house train them successfully. How many accidents did Gromit have in the house? 1, and it was my fault. When Gromit was 8 weeks of age, he had been playing, and I let him fall asleep without taking him out, so I missed a transition. Thinking he was going to sleep 2 or 3 hours like puppies do, I went back to my desk and started working. Well, I was wrong. He got up about 20 minutes later, walked to the door we usually go out, and he peed because no one was around.
Inside, outside.